after so many years, hounded by hatred and trapped by fear. I'm in a box. I've got no place to go. If I follow my mind, I know I slaughter my own. Help me, I'm the prisoner. Won't you hear my plea? I need somebody, yeah, to listen to me. I beg you, brothers and sisters, I'm counting on you, yeah.
Greetings, peace and love. Welcome to the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition. I'm Brother Frank, and I'm with former political prisoner
Abdul Islam.
This idea of fascism we often hear. It was used for during the fight for the presidency. You know, this term was thrown around back and forth. Let's examine it. Let's talk about its origins. Let's talk about how can we stop, can we stop, and responsibility of stopping it. So first, my position is always to deal with a concept based on it having a clear definition. So if you had to define it, how would you define it, my brother?
The definition of fascism is when there's contradictions in the system, the most reactionary elements of the ruling class institute a system of force, you understand, to get things in order, which often includes violence, dictatorship. We've experienced that through people like Hitler and Mussolini, and indeed, people are recognizing this phenomenon on the horizon right now with the election of President Donald Trump.
When you talk about origins of fascism, when can you like pinpoint it? I think that you said it probably already when you said about Mussolini. Mm-hmm. So I guess you answered that question. But so if you had to deal with that being a point of reference, what were the casualties of that?
Fascism comes into play when the ruling class sees the system being in trouble, sees major contradiction in the system and feels that it is necessary for a strong man, or strong individuals, to set things right, and oftentimes it involves force and violence. Donald Trump has said that he will be a dictator for one day, and then people came at that, and Donald Trump's a liar. He say, "Well, I only meant one day. I'm not going to be a dictator after that." But I mean, if he sees in his demented mind the need for him to be dictator on other days, he gonna do that too. That's his personality. So right now, people are organizing. He's got people strapping up their combat boots. 300 organizations right now planning actions against Trump, against Trump. The Democrats, are organizing massive activities against Trump. So we're calling on the people, who can be the most effective force, the main target of Trump, the most who will be mostly be the victim of Trump's policies. These are the main folks that need to be organizing right now. Trump has come out against what he called the DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Which a movement to protect the rights of people, mostly dark-skinned people. He's a lunatic enemy of that. And so we're saying, and we're seeing right now that all people they're all over the place. People are getting ready for the fight. On every radio station. I listen to radio stations from Chicago, here in New York, WBAI, WVON in Chicago, the political people there, and all across the place, all over the place, people are coming together to resist Trump, resist his, Trump is, his policies, can be a threat in many, many ways against the environment. Climate change. Climate change is an existential threat. Existential means the existence of the human race. This is, the whole human race can be wiped out, by climate change, global heating. The temperatures going up. It can get to the point where it's very, very uncomfortable, or it can be life-threatening. All this under Trump. The air quality, the poisons, the toxins in the air under deregulation. You dig? Can cause you a respiratory problem. I hear many people. When I read about people passing away, many of them I see it says because of respiratory problems. The air we breathe destroying our lungs. If any of you out there have ever ate something and you was choking for a while, this is the threat that you will feel. You understand? Through the air pollution, the air quality, the air we breathe, all this through deregulation. One thing that's got people up in arms against Trump is we look at the lunatics that he has said that he's going to call for the office. Some of those the notable ones, Pete Hernandez, to be Secretary of Defense. He's a commentator. A nut that got tattoos all over his body. Talks crazy on the air. Matt Gaetz, Attorney General, a person who's under investigation for having sex with a 17-year-old girl. Linda McMahon, who was the in control of wrestling. The WWA, the Wrestling Association. And that's a world of madness. They want her for education. So imagine a person who organized that type of madness in the realm of the WWA, being in charge of education. Lee Zeldin for the EPA, he's a person that is saying that the capitalists must have their way 100%. No interference in there. Whatever they want to do, they can do. Whether it affects the environment, the climate or whatever. That they let it go. And this is an existential threat, a threat to the existence of the human race. So we're saying that Trump's election, if you look up, I'll remember the title of it again.
So what are some of the casualties of fascism? Right, we know during Mussolini and other people were executed because of their opposing view against his dictatorial position. And we know even if it's not done, you being executed by an agent of the state under fascism, you know, there are other ways that you can be a victim, right? Because all people need food, clothing, and shelter. Like under fascism, now there's going to be less of those, and now like life, as you know, is not going to be possible. Now you're going to have even more casualties. So I think that that's something that people need to understand and be very clear, and why that this we actually don't have a choice. We either fight or we just die, right? And we know that we titled this "Fight or Flight" because we want people to realize that, you know, though that's the way your mind is going to operate, right? In a moment where a crisis is taking place. Now you want to, but at some point the crisis becomes so intense that you have no choice but to fight for your very survival. Uh, this is a political prisoner platform, right? We're exclusive to the ideas and to representing political prisoners. So I think that it's always important that we relate the topic to political prisoners, right? So how does this relate to political prisoners when we're talking about fascism and facing it? What was done in the past?
People who have become political prisoners are people who have stood up and fought, you know, very principled way against, these types of injustices that have existed, throughout the decades, and which, in all likelihood and probability, will intensify under Trump. These are people who have stood up, put their lives on the line, did this out of love for the people. These are what political prisoners are, and these are the type of people that are needed today, that are going to be needed in the very, very near future. So we got to be wise people. When we got valuable folks among us, who love us, who are willing to fight for us, who need to come out them gulags and be free, and the people have the power to free them. When millions and millions of people come together, and make demands and make some noise, and make their voices loud, and shake up the system, things happen, and this is what's needed today in the political prisoner issue and all other issues, issues related to our food, clothing, and shelter. All this is coming under attack under Trump. Now, the word I was looking for a few minutes ago was vigilantes, INC. That's a you can look it up online. That's a documentary which tells it gives evidence of the theft of millions of people's votes. Which was very fundamental in Trump becoming elected president. Many of the people whose vote was stolen were black people. So black people need to get loud. Make your voice like an atomic bomb. You understand? To make things happen, to move things. We have the power to do that. And the promise of Trump to be a dictator, and us knowing, we know this guy for a while, and we know his character, and him being the president, and able to get his will, he was promised just to smash everything that's getting his way, but he can't smash us, we got to stand up and be strong. This is a very, very important year, and the spirit of our political people, we got to be political people, and political people understand the priority, of our political prisoners coming home.
I know one of the things that fascism does is attack freedom of press, right? They making sure that their ideas is first and foremost. That's why independent press, platform like ours, is essential. So if you're viewing right now, we ask that you please share with 10 other contacts. Let's continue to control our media, support our media. This is we don't get paid for this for these platforms for putting this together. We do it because it must be done.
Hold that thought. Go ahead, brother. We're going to continue. Please. But there's a bill right now, you understand, which does exactly what Brother Frank just said. People who come out and speak the truth, you know, particularly, you know, this being used against people who talk about Gaza, the genocide in Gaza, you know, these people being labeled terrorists, you know, and people like us are labeled terrorists. We just telling people to stand up, you know. So this is a bill right now that Trump supports, you know, and it comes right at the funding of the nonprofit organizations, you know, who do this type of work. You know, like Frank said, those people's and people's organizations, freedom of speech is being a target by the Trump administration, Trump and his administration.
Right. So we have the responsibility and the obligation to control our own media, to support it, share, engage. You know, we take contributions. You can donate at Cash App, Sefusankofa, SEFUSANKFOFA. Let me know what you want us to do. You know, we could use better sounds. We could use better lighting. We could do other things to improve the quality of what we currently have. But regardless of whether you contribute or not, you know, the work must be done, right? Because we talk about political prisoners. We raise awareness about political prisoners. We encourage people to write to them, to get involved in organizations such as the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition, and make sure that you play a role in organizing to free our political prisoners. As we engage our political prisoners, we know that they have writings. They are performing their duties in terms of raising people's consciousness, because once your consciousness is raised, now you know that you have to do something. At least you should, right? And what do you think that people can do in terms of fighting back fascism? I would think that they would follow examples of what was done before, right? The Black Panther Party took the initiative to organize people. They were the example of what people should do for themselves. Yeah. They provided free breakfast program. They had educational programs together. They also had medical programs. And I think that says that, you know, that's how you fight it back, right? Because these are done by people and controlled by people, as far instead of letting corporations control your school system, letting corporations control your medical facilities and your medical programs, because, you know, their whole operation is about profit. So it's profit over people. And so when we look at and hear and discuss fascism, we're talking about the intensification of that relationship. So now if there's a million prisoners, they're going to be maybe 3 million prisoners. And I know prior to us coming on, we talked about, you know, in fascism, will there be less or more police officers?
More.
Right. Will there be less or more military?
More.
Right.
More people locked up too.
Exactly. So we have to, and then more laws, right? So now but people organize and fight back, right? We discussed, not on this platform, but I was discussing with fellow comrades about jaywalking, and they was talking about the number of Black people and the number of brown people that were being arrested for jaywalking. And you think, well, what's the point of that, right? Some people might be like, well, it's for their own safety, right? But, you know, instead of finding somebody money, you know, you could have an educational session with them, right? Why not have somebody come to a place where they would have to learn about?
A lot of times they stop you something like jaywalking, hoping that they can run a check on you and find you got a warrant or something, you know, and lock you up. You know, a lot of times, you know, you get stuff for minor stuff like that. That'd be the thought, you know, that they can get you something more serious.
Exactly. So we have to connect the dots so that we not get caught sleeping. We got to stay on point, and we got to do our job. We got to perform our duties. I think, you know, teachers, they're going to have to talk more about fascism and alert their students, and so their students could make some sound decisions, because wherever you're at, you can do something, right? If you're a part of a student union, you could raise that. You could bring in experts in the field of fascism, or people who are community organizers, and have them come to your school or come to your program and talk about what you can do. Because if you once you take the initiative to do something, then it's going to be an analysis that's conducted on the action that you took, and you're going to do that on a day-to-day basis, and you're only going to get better at doing what you're doing. But the number one thing is making that commitment that you're going to stand up against something that is incorrect, something that is wrong, something that if ignored would only get worse. Like you said, they'll make the environment worse just for profit. You know, they will kill more innocent people just for profit.
The whole world just for profit.
Exactly. You know, and we have to really be seriously concerned about that because of their psyche. And we can't take this lightly. We can't view things as something that we could pass on to somebody else, right? We look at our age and we like, well, I'm only probably going to be around another 20, 30 years. So why should I care about fascism? Well, you had the people in Black Panther Party that were always thinking about the future. They were thinking about the babies at that time and the children at that time and the unborns. And I think that said a lot about their character. And that's why when we talk about political prisoners, we got to really, really be very serious about them and bringing them home, writing to them, asking them about what's happening, what's their view on what's happening, and why should we get involved and what should we do, right? Because sometimes we get stuck regarding what we should do or can we even do anything. Yes, you have a brain and you have the ability to make an assessment of what's happening. And from that point on, you decide what you're going to do, what's within your capabilities to do it. You know, because when you look at the Black Panther Party and you read their newspapers and you look at the images, they were very serious about their role and the work that had to be done. And those articles were consistent, and they had what I think 250,000 viewers, subscribers to their publication, and that said that they were getting their ideas out, and it was growing rapidly, and they had a national organization, and at one point they even had an international office. So that example is how committed you need to be to your people's self-determination, because we hear this term self-determination, and how does that relate to fascism? Or if you're advocating for people's self-determination, why should one be concerned about fascism?
Well, fascism, one of the objectives of fascism is to make you feel hopeless, you know, that there's nothing you can do about your situation, you know, and the hopelessness, you know, fundamentally affects the spirit of self-determination, you know, the feeling that you yourself can solve your own problem, you can be successful, you know, that you can fight and win, you know. So Trump, the Trump presidency, you probably will have those who will go into flight. You know, the title of today's podcast is "Fight or Flight." You know, so you're gonna have those who are gonna run, gonna turn their back. You know, in disgrace and dishonor. You know, but we're calling those, you know, who have the substance in them, you know, to make them want to fight, have the ideology, you know, the love of them, the love of justice, the love of the people, you know, to make them want to stand up. You dig? So we're calling on people, you know, to organize, join an organization, create organizations, you know. So I mean, that aim at, you know, whatever you want to aim at, whatever you want to combat, whether it's police terrorism, miseducation, you know, high prices, you know, the poison in the air, you know, bad food, you know, miseducation, whatever it is, you know, a person by himself can do something, but you know, people organize, you know, millions and millions of people, you know, the potential for millions of people to organize, you know, you know, and to come, you know, with the power, you know, the people got power, you know, to realize black power ain't no myth. Black power is real, you know. So in this year right here, we got to build black power.
Absolutely, you know, and it's going to take discipline. It's going to take it's going to take a commitment, as I just said earlier. It's going to take focus. You know, I've told somebody before, if you can organize a baby shower, you can organize black people to take a position on their everyday affairs, because that's what this is about. Fascism is an attack on your everyday affairs, whether it's your freedom of speech, or your freedom to assembly. We have to look at that as being threatened as fascism continues to develop, and we have to ask ourselves, how are we going to deal with that? What's our approach to that? You know, holidays are right around the corner. People be celebrating these holidays, and I think that that's an opportunity. Well, regardless of your position on the holidays, it's an opportunity to get people together. And when you get people together, now you can raise their awareness, start having discussions about what's taking place and about what you're being involved with. Because one thing I've noticed, that you might have a conversation at a certain level one day, but then when you follow it up another day, now you advance that conversation and you let that person or those people know what you're doing, what you're involved in. And they might not attend a program that you are involved in, but they might make a donation. They might not make a donation because they don't have it, but yet they might have access to a printing press or a facility or a place other than that they can get some copies done where you could distribute information. Or they might have a vehicle, and that vehicle can be utilized to gather people together, transport people to a place where other people are gathering. So what my point is to utilize our resources, exchange resources, and this is a way you can contribute. Because to do nothing is to actually say that fascism and a worsening of a people's condition is okay with you. That you are on the side of those who are doing the attack, those who are doing the killing, those who are imprisoning those because of their political views. And that means that you are a liability to our people and not an asset. And I think that that's how serious we need to take it. We have to be very clear and very honest on what's taking place, and we have to accept the best from all of the people that we surround ourselves with. Um, you know, as as the new year starts to come, like I said, the holidays is right around the corner. This is time for us to be creative. What are the recommendations that you would have regarding as we approach the holiday time, specifically Kwanzaa, regarding how people deal with fascism during that particular time? Because people are setting up programs and organizing events.
Well, I would say that people they really, really think seriously about incorporating these type of principles in their lives. Kwanzaa's coming up, for example, Kuji Shakalia, self-determination, which is the opposite of fascism. Fascism is somebody else, determining what happens to you. Somebody else sitting down and maps out what your life expectancy is going to be. The black man's life expectancy is 10 years less than a white man's, and this happens because of plans that people make. So you plan what your life is going to be. You be self-determining. You determine the level of education, the quality of education that our children are going to have. You become a force. Against things that some people see as impossible to deal with, like violence in the streets. People having low self-esteem. We got to become champions. We're great people. And so there's a lot of us out here. You got a champion in you. So it's time that champ stand up. And make some things happen. And this being a podcast about political prisoners, our political prisoners are our champions. And we're gonna fight. We're not gonna get in the fight. We're not gonna run like little stinking mice. We're gonna stand up and fight.
And I think that to fight, right, we have to have ammunition to fight. This is one such book. It's by former political prisoner Jalil Abdul Muta King, and I think that what the brother does continuously is continues to advocate for the advancement of his people. And in his writing, he talks about what needs to be done and talks about how it should be done in terms of being organized. One of the quotes he has here is from George Jackson. It says, settle your quarrels, come together, understand the reality of the situation, understand that fascism is already here, that people are already dying who could be saved, that generations more will die or live poor, butchered half lives if you fail to act. Do what must be done. Discover your humanity and your life in revolution. Pass on the torch. Join us. Give up your life for the people. That was George Jackson.
Yeah.
So that quote was over 50 years ago. So now we have to think about, you know, the seriousness of what was happening and how that plays today. But anyway, that's it for this episode. Thank you for tuning in. Please share with at least 10 of your contacts, and we see you next Wednesday.
Yeah, peace and black power. Next Wednesday, we're talking about Patrice Lumumba. So get ready for that.
What's the call?
Free them all.
What's the call?
Free them all.
What's the call?
Free them all.